Hello and welcome to Business Daily. I'm Lee-Jiun in Seoul. We have a lot on our plate today, so let's get started with a look at the day's highlights. Tesla opens its first showroom here in Korea today. Although customers can't actually buy vehicles at the showroom, first deliveries are expected to start in June. Today marks the 5th anniversary since the Korea-US FTA took effect. We take a look at how the agreement has affected both sides over the years. These stories and more coming right up. But first, Korea's jobless rate has surged to a 7-year high of 5% in February, up 0.1 percentage point from the year before. Statistics Korea attributes the jump to a rise in unemployment among those in their early 20s and the government-led corporate restructuring drive, which has led to a decline in manufacturing jobs for 8 straight months. The youth unemployment rate, which counts people between the ages of 15 to 29, ticked down slightly to 12.3% in February from 12.5% a year ago. The number of employed people was 25.7 million last month, up 370,000 from the year before. Korea's auto industry has seen some recovery in the month of February, with production, domestic sales, and exports all shooting up. According to the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy, car production expanded by nearly 10% last month compared to the same time last year, on the back of more working days and a surge in exports. In fact, the number of cars shipped out of the country went up by over 5%, reaching roughly 201,000 units. New car models and government subsidies aimed at scrapping old diesel vehicles have also contributed to a rise of over 10% in car sales for domestic car makers. The first Tesla store opened its doors here in Korea today, welcomed by many fans. Will this launch of the electric car maker reshape the EV market in the country? And what are customers looking for? Our Shin Se-min takes us there.
The world-class electric vehicle maker has hit the Korean market. This is the first of Tesla's 2 showrooms opening this week at Hanam Shopping Center, located just outside of Seoul. The U.S. carmaker has received immense attention even before the launch of its store, with more than 1,000 Korean customers locking in deals for Tesla's EV cars. The number of test drive requests made by potential customers has also topped all other countries where Tesla has offline stores in operation.
The futuristic design and technological competitiveness makes me lean more towards Tesla, and I would want to see what other models they bring in.
So far, Tesla only has plans to deliver the Model S 90D luxury vehicle with a driving range of up to 378 kilometers on a single charge, by far the highest among all other electric cars out in Korea. The Tesla interface and technological performance of the built-in software nears that of a smartphone operating system, a reason why Tesla cars are called smartphones on wheels. But all this comes with a hefty price tag, starting at $105,000.
On top of its stellar features, Tesla's key strength in pure electric car has geared up a keen interest, especially as Korea faces concerns about its air quality.
Fuel efficiency is one thing, but with concerns about diesel cars mounting because of the environmental factor, as well as a potential tax hike, I want to check out new high-end EVs.
The government, which has identified old diesel cars as a source of increasing fine dust and air pollution, has vowed to replace all diesel buses with natural gas-powered vehicles. It has also warned it will toughen restrictions on diesel-powered vehicles, leading to higher sales of electric cars. The number of EVs sold in Korea more than doubled last year compared to the year before, accounting for 0.4% of the country's entire domestic car sales of 1.6 million. And the Environment Ministry expects that ratio will gradually rise. Despite the growing interest in Tesla, as well as EVs in general, there still remains the challenge of installing enough chargers to meet swelling demand from EV drivers. Tesla Korea says it'll build 6 supercharger stations for its new customers, while the government plans to boost the number of regular charging stations to 20,000 this year. Shin Sae-min, Business Daily.
China's order to stop selling group tour packages to Korea comes into force today. The policy from Beijing comes hot on the heels of a stream of economic retaliation against Seoul's decision to deploy a U.S. anti-missile system on Korean soil. Our Shin reports.
The nation's biggest airlines, Korean Air and Asiana Airlines, have announced the cancellation of nearly 100 flights each between Korea and China for the period covering mid-March to April, following a slump in bookings from China. And numerous cruise ships departing China said Wednesday that they're now skipping Korean ports, despite previous plans to stop by. Korea's been seeing the number of Chinese visitors plunge for weeks now, following Beijing's series of economic orders to limit spending in Korea. And starting on March 15th, no more group vacation packages to Korea will be found at Chinese travel agencies, be it brick-and-mortar stores or online, as a policy to stop selling to tourists comes into force. According to reports, China's Tourism Administration has also issued a statement saying companies not following the rules are liable to be fined or have their licenses revoked.
The measure came sooner than we expected. I suppose we'll have to focus on accommodating individual Chinese tourists for the time being.
Beijing has been strongly against Seoul's decision to deploy the U.S. missile defense system known as THAAD, claiming the system's technology could be used to spy on its military. It has focused its protest on the cultural and economic fronts by pulling the plug on Korean events and even banning shipments of cosmetics from Korea. And there are reports even more unofficial measures are in the works as well. As of now, numerous local companies long reliant on Chinese tourist dollars are hoping to weather the storm by marketing more travel products for visitors from Southeast Asia and the Middle East. Shin, Business Daily.
And the U.S. Federal Reserve is halfway through its two-day monetary policy meeting, where analysts are widely expecting another rate increase. Now, the question is, how many times the U.S. Central Bank will raise rates this year, and how the trend could affect monetary policy here in Korea? Our Hwang Ji-hye tells us more.
On the back of solid jobs and inflation figures, it's almost certain now that the U.S. Federal Reserve will hike its benchmark interest rate at its March meeting, which wraps up on Wednesday in Washington. If the U.S. Central Bank does announce a rate increase, it will be just the third in 10 years after it raised it in December of last year to a range of 0.5% to 0.75%. At the time, it also predicted 3 more increases this year. So now the attention is focused on whether the prediction will bear out.
And I think you're going to want to see guidance of no more than 3 rate hikes this year. I think the market will really embrace 2 rate hikes. I think some people want 3, but considering we haven't had policies be made to take the economy further, 2 would really be celebrated.
But analysts say if the Fed becomes more hawkish and tightens monetary policy in ways or to a degree the market has not yet priced in, disruptions are inevitable.
If they do signal a 4th rate hike maybe this year, including maybe March, June, September, and December, then there would be some volatility or unexpected actions.
That kind of uncertainty points to why analysts expect Korea's central bank to keep its rate unchanged throughout the year, despite being under pressure to lower rates to boost the still sluggish economy, which is further threatened by China's retaliatory actions against the THAAD. They say the possibility of fiscal stimulus measures is stronger following Park Geun-hye's impeachment.
Presidential hopefuls will lay out new agendas, and with that, a robust stimulus package could come when the new administration kicks off.
But even with the stimulus, few analysts are optimistic about the potential for robust growth for Korea based on the nation's snowballing household debt problem and lingering trade uncertainties sparked by the Trump administration in the U.S. Hwang Ji-hye, Business Daily.
It's been 5 years since the free trade deal between Korea and the United States took effect, and thanks in part to the FTA, trade between the two countries has risen over the years. But with U.S. President Donald Trump blaming the deal for massive job losses, it's unclear what the future may hold. For more on the achievements and implications going forward, our Kim Min-ji joins us in the studio today. Hello, Min-ji.
Hi, Jiyoon.
All right, so the FTA is still pretty young.
Yes, it's still in its infant stages. This day 5 years ago, the trade deal between Seoul and Washington took effect, but counting negotiations, it goes back about a decade. Now, it's been a tough journey. During the negotiation process, it was a contentious issue in Korea, sparking strong protest. And now the U.S. is questioning its benefits. But so far, numbers show that it's been a win-win for both sides.
5 years on, Korea and the U.S. continue to benefit from their free trade deal. While global trade has fallen an average of 2% every year over the past 5 years, trade between Seoul and Washington has expanded at an annual rate of 1.7% on average since the deal took effect. Bilateral trade between the two countries stood at $109.7 billion last year, up from $100.8 billion in 2011, a year before the FTA went into effect. The two countries have also increased their presence in each other's markets. Korea made up 3.2% of the U.S. import market in 2016, up from 2.6% in 2011, while the U.S. accounted for 10.6% of the Korean market, up from 8.5%.
A range of supplementary measures were drawn up in the initial stages to protect sectors that could be hit. And despite concerns over an increase in agriculture imports, it hasn't affected the local market much.
Among Korea's exports to the U.S., automobiles were one of the biggest beneficiaries, with outbound shipments more than doubling last year from 2011, while synthetic resins also grew twofold. As for imports from the U.S., inbound shipments of automobiles grew almost fourfold during the same period, while imports of liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG, surged 50-fold. However, what's worrisome is that the good times may soon be over, as the Trump administration could seek to renegotiate the deal. Trump has claimed that the trade pact has led to massive job losses in the U.S., and he's also pointed to Korea's increasing trade surplus. Seoul saw its trade surplus of goods with the U.S. more than double to $23.3 billion in 2016, from $11.6 billion in 2011. Speculation has it that the issue won't be raised until negotiations of the NAFTA deal are complete, which gives Korea some time to prepare, and the outcome should offer a glimpse into what Seoul could expect going forward.
Also, the numbers are definitely showing that there have been significant achievements ever since this deal came into effect. But at this point, I'm wondering, what are U.S. and Korean companies that have been exporting to respective markets saying?
Well, in a recent survey conducted on 487 Korean exporters, 68% said they have been making use of the free trade deal. Now, in terms of the benefits they've seen, the firm cited expansion of their exports, indirect effects such as more recognition of Korean products in the U.S. market, and fostering new deals. Now, they did talk about problems as well, listing currency problems, changes in the U.S. economy, and difficulties in getting relevant documents to make use of the FTA as some of the downsides. Now, U.S. firms were also positive, according to recent interviews by KOTRA on 26 American importers and exporters. Importers said the deal helped expand their choice of overseas suppliers, in turn allowing them to reduce costs and boost price competitiveness. U.S. exporters said the trade pact helped create new demand and enhance protection of their intellectual property in Korea.
But of course, this doesn't guarantee that the deal won't go back on the renegotiating table, especially when President Trump has explicitly criticized this deal during his campaign trail.
You're right. Trump did openly denounce the deal as a job destroyer. The Office of the U.S. Trade Representative recently said the Korea-U.S. FTA has coincided with a dramatic increase in trade deficit with Seoul. It added that the outcome was not what it had expected, and that the time had come for a major review in how to approach trade deals.
Free trade deals usually highlight the sectors in which a country has a competitive edge. That's why, from America's perspective, it may seem like a loss for manufacturing compared to Korea. But the U.S. needs to carefully assess whether this is a structural problem or if it's partly due to the trade pact.
So simply put, while Korea holds a surplus in goods, the U.S. posts a surplus in services, handing Korea a $14 billion trade deficit in that field last year.
So it looks like that negotiations are quite likely. Then what can Korea do to protect its own interests?
Now, experts say although it will not create drastic changes, because the economic circumstances are different from 5 years ago, they say the Korean government needs to draw up new strategies for defense.
There have been developments in the FTAs since Korea and the United States struck this deal. We have seen sea changes in this part in the area of FTAs as well, and also in the development of norms of trade, trade agreements, investment agreements. We have seen a great deal of changes in this area as well. So perhaps we need to upgrade or update this FTA so that it can meet the expectations of the businessmen and industries and government officials as we stand today.
And especially because of the rise in protectionist sentiment, experts add that Korea should seek cooperation at the international level through multilateral bodies like the G20 or WTO, rather than attempting to act independently.
So it seems that Korea will need to come up with new strategies while it has the time to do so.
That's right.
All right, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
And that wraps it up for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow at the same time, same place for your Business Daily. Until then, goodbye.